Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it's great to have you in studio with us today. We're sitting down with Friends of the Forest, Jennifer Young and Jerry Czechia. Friends of the Forest, welcome to studio.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We're going to do two shows with you guys today. First show, we're going to kind of get the background of the Friends of the Forest, because you guys have been around for a long time, and just kind of chit-chat about how you guys got involved in a few of the programs with Friends of the Forest. Their website is friendsoftheforestsedona.org. So whatever we're talking about today, you can go to that website and find out more information about that. Jennifer, maybe you'd like to give us the history, because I understand you know all about Friends of the Forest and you're very well versed in it.
Sure.
So what is the history of Friends of the Forest?
The organization was formed in 1994, and its purpose was to bring together volunteers to support the Forest Service in the work that they do on the Red Rock Ranger District. And so a little over 20 years ago, we started as a pretty small group of people with a core area of activity that was mostly around trail maintenance, trail construction, and visitor information services. And over the years, we've grown to more than 500 members.
Oh, wow.
As of last week, we had, I think, 507 members.
Oh, my gosh.
And we add about between 50 and 75 people join the organization each year. So we're growing pretty quickly. We're now the largest volunteer group that's devoted to working with the Forest Service in the United States.
That's probably pretty key, too, of the Forest Service, because you hear about the financial problems with the Forest Service all the time. There's just not enough money, there's not enough people to get out there and patrol all over the place, so they need more eyes and more hands and more feet on the ground. So I would imagine that was kind of the spur of the Friends of the Forest.
Right, we're a people power multiplier. We provide skilled labor for the Forest Service, and we kind of do whatever it is that they need doing. Unlike a national park, even though there's a lot of visitation in our area, the Forest Service doesn't have the same kind of resources that a national park would. And so our kind of volunteer group is able to move into a lot of different areas to provide additional labor and workforce.
You don't happen to know how many hours you guys donate a year, do you?
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
That would be a question I would have for you right now.
Last year it was just over 35,000.
Wow.
35,000, which is equivalent to about $4 million in
if you had to put
labor.
a dollar amount on it.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, $4 million. And then I bet you know the answer to this question too. So how many visitors? I mean, Sedona, when I was a kid, I was telling you before the show, when I was a kid, Sedona street sidewalks rolled up about 6 p.m. and it was very quiet in the late 80s. In the 90s, got a little bit busier. Now, I don't, and there was actually a downtime in Sedona too, where the winter months, I worked in the restaurants, and the winter months would just be, I mean, literally crickets chirping. You'd have one or two customers come in throughout the night and stuff like that. But it's not like that anymore. Sedona doesn't really have a downtime anymore.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, yeah.
There's no real slow season anymore in Sedona. So visitor-wise, how many people are we talking about that are traipsing around, not just Sedona, but in the forest around it?
3 to 4 million, is that?
Millions, yeah, right.
Is that what it is?
God, I would say.
So couple of our purposes as an organization are to help lessen the impact of all of those visitors on the resources of the forest, whether it be helping people that are hiking on the trails through our trail patrol group. Our trail maintenance group is out repairing trails, constructing new trails. We have volunteers at the Red Rock Ranger District Visitor Center talking to people about where to go to get away from the crowds.
That's a tough one. I want
Where's
to know
the
those spots
vortex?
myself, Jennifer.
Where's the vortex? That's a common one, yeah.
And we also have volunteers that work at the cultural heritage sites. Pulaski, V-Barvi, Honanki. So those are kind of our core activities. And then we have a whole wide range of special projects that we do for the forest as well.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Let's change gears just a little bit. It's still Friends of the Forest, but how did you get involved with Friends of the Forest, and how long have you been with them?
I've been a member for about 10 years.
Okay.
And I found out about the organization when I was hiking a trail, as many of us do when we first come here. And I found somebody that was wearing something that looked kind of like this. And I said, I need to go find out what that group's doing. When I first joined the organization, I was involved with a group that takes care of the historic orchards up at West Fork Canyon in Oak Creek Canyon.
Okay.
And I also volunteered as a docent or a guide at Pulaski Heritage Site and V-Barvi.
So in order to do something like that, like you just said at the Palatka, you probably have to go through some kind of an educational course, training course. I mean, you can't just walk up and know what the place is all about unless you...
Whatever area we go into, we have training programs for new volunteers. Some of that training we do ourselves, and some of it's done by the Forest Service.
It's got to be pretty interesting, though.
Sure.
I mean, talk about learning all the history about the area. The indigenous people and everything in the area, right?
And a lot of people who come here are interested in the archaeology of the area.
Oh, sure.
And the history. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
How'd you get here, Jerry?
I've been only in Sedona a little over 2 years, and about a little less than that in the Friends. April will be 2 years I joined. I was just hiking, just like Jennifer was, in Baldwin Trail, and I ran into a couple of Friends of the Forest members. I didn't know they were, and then was actually, they had a Jeep, and I had a Jeep parked in the parking lot, and we just started talking over Jeeps, and they were like, we exchanged numbers. They're like, oh, where are you from? Told them they're from Pennsylvania. They live half the year in Pennsylvania, half the year here, Pam and Al. And then they said, oh, why don't you come over to our house for pizza next Friday night if you guys aren't doing anything? So we exchanged numbers. I went to their house. We had pizza and salad. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, they're having an open meeting at the Friends of, they're going to come. Anybody can come. You'll hear about the group. And then I went. And then I joined right after that, yeah.
Did your wife join?
She did. Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Yeah, she did. Right. And she works a lot, so she doesn't get to go out as much. We do trail patrol together. We'll go out. She'll on her days off, maybe she'll do a graffiti. I've been dragging her out to do graffiti with me lately. So like when I go, oh, let's go up Dome Mountain, she's like, oh, don't tell me. There's a graffiti report up there that you need to get to, because there's a couple of hikes she doesn't like to do, too many edges and stuff. But she mostly does trail patrol, and she'll do some graffiti with me too. So.
And we're gonna get into the graffiti a lot in the next episode. We're gonna definitely get into the graffiti a lot, because that is a huge problem up there.
For sure.
A huge problem, yeah, okay. So, wow.
Yeah, and next thing you know, I was just doing trail work. I started out, they ask you when you sign up, what are you interested in? They have like a little, either on the website or have a little pamphlet, and you just check off, I'm interested in trail patrol, trail maintenance, and I forgot what the other thing I checked off, 3 things, graffiti. And then next thing you know, you get like emails from all these. It takes like a week or so, and then you get emails from the chairperson, the people the committee people, and then that's it. I'm doing graffiti, I'm doing trail work, I'm going up to Fossil Creek to do air sampling and all kinds of special projects and stuff.
Great shape, huh, Jerry?
I mean, I'm not. I'd like to be a little bit, more like I'm hiking down the Grand Canyon in April 5th and 6th, and we're gonna hike down. I've never done that, so I'm just trying to get a little bit. I can, get up to some mountains and stuff like that. But still, some of these guys that I go out with, they're just they're way ahead of you, and they're just in really good shape. But you think you are, and then when you go out with somebody that's like really good shape. But
let me ask you, being new to the organization, a couple of years now, how often do you volunteer, and is it something that they say, well, you have to be this many hours or this many hours?
It's just all open. Like like trail patrol is like the most flexible thing you could do. You go out, you want to do a hike. Oh, I'm going to go do Bell Rock or Cathedral Rock or hike up Bear Mountain. You just count how many people you see out on the trail. You interact with a few. We carry extra maps and stuff, and that's like the most easy, I don't want to say the easiest thing to do, but that's like the most non-time, like trail work is done every Friday. They have a trail maintenance crew that goes out every Friday. And you don't have to go. You go, they'll send you an email, you can make it, you can. If you can't, it's no big deal. But it's kind of like on your own, yeah. And then the graffiti, we go out like every few weeks and get a group together and we'll tell you more about that later. But it's kind of just, you do what you want, and there's no minimum or maximum, just...
what you
at your own, whatever you can do,
Let's take our first break. Can you believe it already? I know. Jennifer Young and Jerry Chiquilla in studio today with Friends of the Forest. Website is friendsoftheforestsedona.org. Stick around, Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
she doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh.
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes. Hey, it's Bruno Mars. Ed Sheeran. What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber. You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're sitting down with Friends of the Forest today, as well in the next episode coming up as well. Sedona Red Rock Trails is another website we want to make sure we talk about, right, Jennifer?
Yes.
We've got Friends of the Forest, Sedona.org, and then SedonaRedRockTrails.org. What's that website?
That's a website that provides information to visitors.
Okay.
It has trail maps. It has all kinds of recreation information. We operate that website on behalf of the Forest Service specifically for visitors.
Who puts that together, those maps? Is that the Forest Service that does those maps?
Forest Service puts together the maps.
Okay.
We post them.
You just hear that people get the books and stuff that say this is going to be a 1-hour hike, but they didn't know that this person, was in super physically great shape and they could do it in an hour. And then you hear about people getting stuck on these trails for hours upon hours.
This website has downloadable maps as well as descriptions of degree of difficulty, elevation change,
great.
And that sort of thing.
Okay, so that would be really important for people who are especially coming and visiting the area, because we'll have search and rescue people come in and talk about that all the time, about how they run into people on these trails. They're red-faced and flush, and they don't have enough water with them. They're in flip-flops and stuff like that, and they just get stuck out there because they're just not prepared. So these maps sound like these would really be good for people to jump into. Okay, and I wanted to ask you something too. You do an article for the paper.
I do.
What's your article all about? Because people are going to want to see if they can find those too.
Sure. Once a month in Sedona Red Rock News, we have a column under Serving Sedona, and Friends of the Forest write about really any topic that we want to.
Okay.
And I've been doing that in connection with our publicity group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, very good. And we wanted to make sure we talked about a very nice award you guys got this year. This year? 2017?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell us about this. How did this all come about?
Yes, we received the Forest Service Chiefs Award. And every year the Forest Service gives out awards for various activities. And this is the first year that they've given one to a volunteer group. And we received that award for innovations in volunteerism. And the Forest Service Volunteer Coordinator, Justin Loxley, collected that award in Washington just last week.
Oh wow,
and
nice.
We can find on YouTube a video of that activity.
Okay.
But the background on the award has to do with innovations that Friends of the Forest have introduced in the past year. And I think there were three innovations that were.
Give me some examples.
Yeah, that were recognized. One you'll be hearing more about later, which is new techniques in graffiti remediation.
Okay.
Which Jerry is prepared to actually demonstrate.
Oh, okay.
The second had to do with a smartphone app that we developed. And that app can be used by volunteers when they're out on the forest to record observations, something that needs some kind of repair or remediation, such as a downed tree across a trail, or graffiti, or some damage to a trail. And with this app, they can photograph the problem, and the app will record the GPS coordinates of the location.
Okay.
And then they can press a button, and that report will go to the Forest Service, to the person who's responsible for that kind of an activity, and to the volunteer group leader that can be responsible for fixing the problem.
Oh, wow.
So it makes it really easy to give information to the Forest Service about what's going on out on the forest. And the third innovation is completely different. We have volunteers that are involved in photo documentation of archaeological sites all throughout the Coconino and particularly the Red Rock Ranger District. And this group has gotten into all of the new digital photography technologies, three-dimensional imaging, some techniques that use modification of color and light, all of which can enhance and go into much greater detail at the archaeology sites in terms of recording and documenting. And those records are used by archaeologists for analysis and study, and also just to record for posterity of what's out there as it continues to age and deteriorate. So those are all kinds of examples where our volunteers have used their own skills or interest to go in some creative direction that helps us to actually do our work.
And you got the Chief's Honor Award.
Correct.
The highest award. Say it again. It's the highest award.
Well, these are national awards given annually, usually to people within the Forest Service, but this time to a volunteer organization, both for the number of hours that we provide service and these particular innovations that we've introduced to help the work of the Forest Service.
And I think we had one injury which was also like unbelievable, all those hours put in. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we had like one sprained ankle or something like that. It was like one little minor injury that didn't even really, cause any medical, But to have that many hours put in and that many people, out on the trails, it's just, that was really amazing too. I don't know if that's, that's not one of the reasons we won the award, but it's just something,
well, it's a key,
pretty impressive.
A key ingredient for how we work.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Safety, they're big about safety. So.
Let me ask about, well, since we're on the volunteer topic, and it's all about the volunteers with Friends of the Forest, I guess what we talked about before the show too, we don't want to make it sound like you've got to have this amount of physical abilities in order to be a volunteer with Friends of the Forest. So, and you've got over 500 volunteers right now, so all walks of life could probably help out in some way if they wanted to.
Absolutely, and one of the things that draws people to us and keeps people with us is that there's such a range of what you can do. You can work outside, you can work inside, you can work summer, winter if you're seasonal. You can be involved with the public or not. You can do really heavy, strenuous work or lighter work that just gets you out, work on trails. You can follow your interests. For example, people interested in photography, archaeology. We have a volunteer who is a lichen specialist, and so he is now doing an inventory of all of the lichen species on the Coconino National Forest. And so people come with interest and backgrounds. Other people are interested in wildlife, and so there are special projects involved in wildlife monitoring, like peregrine falcon nest monitoring, counting bats in bat roosts.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Or taking care of rare plant species through some of the exclosure fencing that we find in different places on the National Forest. So there's just a huge range of things that can be very specialized, or people that are more interested in kind of a social environment.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, just like meeting people. Like, I didn't know you and Jerry before you sat down today, but it sure is nice to meet new people all the time. So there you got, now you got volunteers in the visitor center just saying, hey, how are you? Where you from? What you looking to do while you're here? All that good stuff.
They kind of like, that stuff too, just regular, just me. I made so many friends, doing this. It's just Friends of the Forest is like, it really is friends. They're more like family, we go out, to dinner or go over somebody's house or something like that. I just made a lot of good friends who are really
awesome. Let's take another break, okay? A couple websites for you. Friends of the Forest, Sedona.org, SedonaRedRockTrails.org, and then we've got a meeting coming up. We're going to hit it in the next break. It's on February 15th at 2 p.m. Red Rock Visitor Center on 179. It's a good place for you to go on that day to find out more information about Friends of the Forest. Stick around. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley in Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
Mateo. I'm Shawn Mendes. Hey, it's Bruno Mars. Ed Sheeran. What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber. You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Welcome back to County Line. We've got just a few minutes left in the program. Again, websites for you. Friends of the Forest, Sedona.org, SedonaRedRockTrails.org, and then we're going to talk and kind of wrap up today's show about this meeting coming up on February 15th. It's going to be at 2 p.m. at the Red Rock Visitor Center. That's on Highway 179. What am I going to be doing when I get there? What's going to be happening?
Well, this is our annual new member welcome event. And this is for anyone that's joined the organization in the last year or people that are just curious about what we do. And we will have all of our team leaders of the different groups that we've been talking about will be there, and they'll talk about their area of activity. And then it's an opportunity to meet other people in the organization, ask questions, hear from the district ranger, Nicole Branton, and the volunteer coordinator with the Forest Service, and maybe a couple of the other leaders within the Forest Service. And then we have a little social time and hopefully get some new members.
How many trails are in Sedona? Do you have a number on that?
There's about 300 miles of trails.
300 miles of trails.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
So I guess you can do the math and take 500 volunteers and divide it up. But not everybody goes out on the trails and does that sort of thing.
No, our largest volunteer group is actually the Trail Patrol group.
Okay.
There are about 150 people that are in that group, but they may go out once a month, once a week.
You can go out on your own if you want. They have group hikes where they'll go out as a group and they'll email that, and then you could also just go out, like I said, on your own, just going out to do a hike. You just count how many people you see, you know, pick up some trash, interact with
I was going to say right there, now we'll talk about graffiti in the next show, but the trash, that's something that always bugs me. I just don't know why people do that, where they eat something or whatever, they just throw it on the ground. It always boggles my mind that still takes place. I mean, you see it in the movies and stuff in the 70s. I remember growing up and having trash everywhere, but it just seems like something we don't do anymore. But we do. It's all over the place.
They hide it. They try to hide it too. Like they'll throw it off the trail, like a tissue, or like we can still see it. You got to know where to spot it and stuff. So we'll go out and pick that up. But it's not a lot out here. I think there's more. I think people educated and just more respect for the environment. I don't see a lot, but we do pick up some. While we're
that's not what the Forest Service is. It's all about education still. We're still educating the public on not to throw their garbage on the ground. So because I'll have them come in and they talk about how they bag the trash at the end of the forest road from their campsite, like there's trash service back in the forest. So I was wondering if you could encounter that too, just bags of garbage sitting out in the forest.
I would imagine they do out in
not so much on the trails, but more at the campground areas.
Camping.
Yeah, even the trails. I think that people that are visiting the trails are more apt to be doing something like that. So you wouldn't want to ruin something you went out to go see this pristine beauty and then you threw your garbage on the ground. So that's another thing. That's another thing Friends of the Forest are helping take care of out there. All right, we're out of time. Okay, so I'm going to give these websites again. SedonaRedRockTrails.org. Great information about the trails in Sedona. 300 miles worth of trails, you said. Friends of the Forest, Sedona.org is the website. And again, February 15th, 2 p.m., there'll be a visitors volunteer just kind of a mingling
welcome.
opportunity to come in and find out more about Friends of the Forest at the Red Rock Visitor Center on Highway 179. Thanks for watching and listening. That's today's show, and we'll talk to you again next time.